Imagine looking out your window right now. The night hangs heavy. The air hums with that strange, electric stillness before a storm. Press your forehead against the cold glass. What do you see? Street lights? Passing cars? The soft, golden flicker of a neighbor's television. Now, strip it all away. Imagine nothing but a rolling sea of black heather stretching for miles. No lights, no people, just the wind howling across the moors, and the rain slashing at the window pane like claws. You are utterly alone. You know it, because you drove 3 hours into the Scottish wilderness to be here. And for days, not a single living soul. Just you and the dark. Until 3 knocks at 3 a.m. Not the polite kind. Nothing human about the rhythm. In that instant, your heart stops listening. Every instinct screams one truth: fear. Because out here, a knock isn't a visitor. It means something else. You've been found. Welcome back to the sanctuary. Come in from the code. Shake off the rain and take your place by the dying fire. The storm is particularly heavy tonight, isn't it? Listen to it. It is the perfect weather to lock the doors, draw the heavy velvet curtains, and pretend the world outside simply ceases to exist. Tonight, we are traveling to the most isolated, forgotten corners of the British Isles, to the lonely stone cottages of the Scottish Highlands, where the mist clings to the ground like a burial shroud, to the snow-buried farmhouses of the Yorkshire Dales, where the silence is so deep it is deafening, and to the forgotten terraced rows where the walls are thin and the secrets are buried deep within the brickwork. We often dream of escaping the noise of the city, don't we? Of finding a place where we can be truly alone. But be careful what you wish for. Isolation is a double-edged sword. It offers peace, yes, but it also removes your safety net. It removes the witnesses. In the stories I have for you tonight, the horror doesn't come from ghosts or ghouls or monsters under the bed. It comes from the realization that the sanctuary has been violated, that the isolation you sought has become your cage. So, turn off the lights, check the lock on your window one last time. Do it now. I'll wait. Good. Now, get comfortable, and let's listen to the rain and what might be walking through it. Our first tale takes us to the rugged, unforgiving landscape of the Cairngorms. Sarah, a freelance illustrator from Manchester, desperately needed a break. The city was too loud, too fast, too demanding. She felt like she was drowning in the noise. So, she booked a 2-week stay in a converted shepherd's bothy, a small, ancient stone hut, accessible only by a 4-mile hike from the nearest dirt track. It was the definition of remote. The first 3 days were bliss. The silence was absolute. The only sounds were the crackle of the wood burner and the wind whistling softly through the glen. Sarah spent her days sketching the wild deer, and her evenings reading by the flickering light of a candle. There was no mobile signal, no internet, just peace. Or so it seemed. On the fourth evening, the weather turned. A low pressure system swept in from the Atlantic, bringing torrential rain and gale-force winds. The stone walls held strong, but the world outside disappeared into churning, grey mist. Visibility was 0. By 10 p.m., Sarah was in bed in the sleeping loft, listening to the rain hammer against the slate roof. It was a comforting sound, usually, a barrier between her and the world. But then, she heard it. Click. It wasn't a knock. It was the sound of the heavy iron latch on the front door being lifted. Slowly, deliberately. Sarah froze. Her heart hammered against her ribs, louder than the storm outside. She told herself it was the wind. Old houses make noise. The wind can rattle a latch. She squeezed her eyes shut. Please, let it be the wind. She lay there, eyes wide in the darkness, straining her ears until they hurt. Then, the heavy oak door creaked. Creak. It wasn't the wind. The door had opened. A gust of freezing air rushed up to the loft, carrying the scent of wet wool and stale peat smoke. Sarah held her breath, praying, begging that she had locked the internal bolt. But she hadn't. She had relied on the isolation. She had been arrogant. Who would walk 4 miles in a storm just to try a door handle? She heard a boot step onto the stone flagstones below. Heavy, wet, crunch. Then another, crunch. Someone was inside, right below her. Sarah grabbed her heavy torch, the only weapon she had, and curled into a ball, trying to make herself invisible in the shadows of the loft. The footsteps didn't move with purpose. They were slow, dragging. They moved towards the kitchen area. She heard the clink of a mug being moved, the rustle of her sketchpad pages being turned. This wasn't a thief. A thief moves fast. A thief wants valuables. This was an explorer, or an observer. For 20 minutes, 20 agonizing minutes, Sarah listened to the stranger exist in her temporary home. She heard the strike of a match. The smell of strong tobacco smoke drifted up to the loft. Whoever it was, they had made themselves comfortable. They were sitting in her chair, smoking a cigarette, watching the dying fire. Just sitting there. Sarah knew she couldn't stay in the loft forever. The ladder was the only way down. If they came up, she was trapped. She waited, tears streaming silently down her face, until the smoke scent faded and the footsteps returned to the door. Creak, thud. The door closed. She waited another hour, shivering violently, before she dared to move a muscle. When she finally crept down, trembling, and shone her torch around the room, the cottage was empty. But the evidence remained. Her sketchpad was open on the table, but it wasn't on the page she had left it. It was turned to a blank page at the very back. And on it, in charcoal, Someone had drawn a crude, jagged sketch. Winter in the Yorkshire Dales is a beautiful thing, provided you are warm and safe inside. For Mark and Elena, a couple attempting to renovate a dilapidated farmhouse near Hawes, the isolation was the selling point. No neighbours to complain about the drilling, no traffic, just them and the sheep and the endless rolling hills. It was December. The snow had been falling for 2 days straight, blocking the single-track lane to the main road. They were snowed in, completely cut off. But they were prepared. Generator, freezer full of food, plenty of wine. It was romantic, a private world for two. Until the generator failed. The lights flickered, buzzed, and died. The house plunged into absolute darkness. The silence that followed was heavy, oppressive. Mark went out to the barn to check the fuel lines, taking the lantern. Elena stayed in the kitchen, lighting candles with shaking hands. From the kitchen window, she watched Mark's lantern bobbing in the dark, a tiny star in a void of black. And then she saw the second light. It was faint, ghostly, like the glow of a mobile phone screen or a dying torch. Standing by the gate at the edge of the property line, just hovering there. "Mark?" she whispered, even though he was in the barn. Mark came out of the barn a moment later, shaking his head, walked back to the house, completely oblivious to the figure by the gate. When he came inside, shivering and shaking snow off his coat, Elena grabbed his arm. Her fingers dug into his flesh. "Who is by the gate?" she asked. Mark frowned. "There's no one by the gate, Elle. We're snowed in. No one can get up here. The road is gone." "I saw a light," she insisted. "I saw someone." Mark, trying to be the brave husband, grabbed the high-powered flashlight, went to the back door, swept the beam across the snowy courtyard. The white snow was pristine, unbroken, except for a single set of tracks. But they weren't leading to the gate. They were leading from the gate to the side of the house, and they didn't lead away. Mark locked the door instantly. The click of the lock sounded like a gunshot in the silence. "Get upstairs," he whispered. They retreated to the master bedroom, pushing a heavy chest of drawers against the door. No signal. Landline dead, snow-buried lines. They were on their own. They sat in the dark, listening, straining to hear over their own breathing. At 2 a.m., they heard it. Not downstairs, but above them, on the roof. Scrape, scrape, thud. Slate tiles being slid out of place, one by one. The farmhouse was old. Attic hatch in the hallway, just outside their bedroom door. Something had entered the attic. For hours, they listened to the soft, rhythmic pacing above their heads. Back and forth, back and forth. It wasn't an animal. Animals scuttle, animals panic. This was the heavy, measured tread of a human being, pacing the floorboards, walking right above where they slept. Elena was crying silently into the duvet. Mark held a hammer, knuckles white, staring at the ceiling. They waited for the attic hatch to open, waited for the footsteps to come down, but they never did. The pacing simply stopped. Around 4 a.m., just stopped. When the sun finally rose, bathing the snow in brilliant, blinding white light, they worked up the courage to leave the room. Mark checked the attic, climbed the ladder, hammer raised. It was empty, but the skylight was open. And on the dusty floor, written in the grime with a finger, warm now. They had been freezing on the roof, and they came inside just to get warm, right above the couple's bed. They left the house that morning, walking 5 miles through the snow to the nearest village. They didn't pack. They didn't look back. Sold the property 6 months later. They never found out who or what had sought shelter in their roof that night. Section 3. The sanctuary violated. Philosophical dread exploding into claustrophobic violation. There is a specific kind of violation that happens when your home is breached. We think of our walls as barriers, our locks as guarantees. We think we are safe inside our boxes. But in the wilder places of Britain, locks are just suggestions. The true barrier is distance. And when someone crosses that distance, when they traverse miles of bog and heather and snow just to reach you, their intent is never casual. It is never accidental. The scariest part isn't the violence, isn't the theft. It's the proximity. It's knowing that while you slept, dreaming of safety, someone was awake, watching you, breathing the same air, standing right there. Story 3. The Terraced House Trap. Not all isolation happens in the wild. Sometimes isolation lives in the forgotten veins of industrial Britain. David inherited a house in a dying mining village in the Welsh valleys. Most of the street was condemned, abandoned, windows boarded up, roofs caved in. He was the only resident in a row of 20 houses, working alone, sleeping on a mattress in the living room. 2 up, 2 down, small, cramped, thin walls. But walls didn't matter with no neighbours, or so he thought. It started with the smell. Faint, sweet, rotting. David blamed a dead rat under the floorboards. Cloying, sickly. He ignored it. Then, things went missing. A loaf of bread, packet of batteries, his keys. He thought he was losing his mind. The isolation, the damp, the grey skies. Started talking to himself, just to hear a voice. "Where are my keys?" he'd ask the empty room. The empty room said nothing back. One night, sanding floorboards in the hallway, he noticed the cupboard under the stairs. Door slightly ajar. He knew he had latched it, remembered the click. He pulled it open. Inside, among paint cans and old coats, a sleeping bag. Dirty, ragged. David reached out, trembling hand. It was warm. Warm to the touch. David backed away, heart stopping, blood drained from his face. Someone had been living under the stairs, for days, maybe weeks, listening to him talk to himself. Turned to run to the front door, then he heard it. A toilet flush. upstairs. The intruder wasn't under the stairs anymore. They were in the bathroom, right above him. David ran into the rain-slicked street, fumbling with his phone. Called police from his car, locked the doors, watched the house, watched the window. Police found the sleeping bag, food wrappers. But then, in the attic of the abandoned house next door, a hole, knocked through the party wall. Jagged tunnel connecting David's attic to the empty house. Bricks chipped away, quietly, patiently. The intruder hadn't just lived under the stairs. They had the run of the entire row of terraces, moving house to house like a rat in a maze. Watching David work, eating his food, using his bathroom while he sanded downstairs, watching him sleep on his mattress. Police never caught him. He slipped back into the rotting attics, disappeared into the village decay. David never went back inside, sold for a fraction of value, just to be rid of it. Story 5. The Window Visitor. Rachel lived alone in a quiet London suburb. Third-floor walk-up, corner flat, big bay windows overlooking the high street. She loved watching the world go by. Office workers, school kids, delivery vans, comforting rhythm of normal life. It started in November. Cold evenings, early dark. One night, sipping tea by the window, she noticed him. Standing across the street, just staring up at her window. Motionless. Hands in pockets, face hidden by hoodie shadow. Third floor, 100 yards away. But she felt his gaze. Probably waiting for a bus, lost in thought. She closed the curtains, forgot about it. Next night, same time, 8:17 p.m. There again, same position, same hoodie, staring. Third night, got curious, snapped a photo with her phone, zoomed in, face still shadowed, but now, visible breath, frosty air, steady exhales. He was breathing her direction. Week later, every night, 8:17 sharp, rain or shine, always there. Started feeling watched, even daytime. Curtains always drawn now. One night, couldn't take it. Opened window, leaned out. "Hey, what do you want?" Voice echoed down High Street. He didn't move, didn't flinch, just tilted head slightly. Next morning, found it. On third floor windowsill, outside. Fresh dirt smudge, wet footprint. Small, bare. Third floor, no fire escape, sheer brick wall. That night, 8:17, looked anyway. He was closer, halfway across street, hoodie down, face visible. Middle-aged, ordinary, smiling. Waved slowly, like they were friends. Next night, even closer, 20 feet away, directly below window, looking straight up. No binoculars, ordinary eyes somehow piercing glass, mouthing words, silent, insistent. Let me in. Last night she saw him, 8:17, right under window. Not standing, climbing. Bare hands gripping sheer brick, toes finding invisible holds, rising, floor by floor. Second floor, gone. Third floor, level with her. Pressed against glass, breath fogging pain. Smiling, tapping rhythmically, fingers leaving greasy prints, mouthing again. I'm here. Rachel moved out next day, left everything, broke lease, new city, new flat, no bay windows. But sometimes, 8:17 p.m, feels breath on back of neck, hears faint tapping behind her. Story 6. The lift attendant. Newcastle, 1987. Council flats, 15 stories of brutalist concrete. Lift only works half the time. Stinks of piss and chip fat. Most residents take the stairs, except Mrs. Hargreaves, floor 14, rheumatoid arthritis. No choice. Every morning, 7:23 a.m. Same routine. Press call button. Doors screech open. Step inside. Press G. Lift groans downward. Always sticks between 9 and 8. Always restarts with a jolt. Mrs. Hargreaves waits. Patient. Counting the floor lights. Third week of October, Wednesday. Lift sticks longer than usual. 90 seconds between 9 and 8. Floor counter flickers. Then, a voice. Third floor, going down. Male, middle-aged, Newcastle accent. Professional, polite. Mrs. Hargreaves frowns. No intercom in lift. No speakers. 1980s tech, just buttons and dirty mirror. Thinks it's caretaker. External speaker, maybe. Says nothing. Ride continues. Next day, same time, same stick. Third floor, going down. Identical voice, identical timing. Mrs. Hargreaves presses second floor button experimentally. Voice continues. Second floor. Friday. Presses random floors. 12, 6, 4. Voice announces each correctly. Perfect timing. No visual cue possible. Lift has no CCTV. No way to see inside. By Monday, normalized. Almost comforting. Human voice in mechanical tomb. Mrs. Hargreaves starts replying. Morning. Terrible weather. Voice responds. Always polite. Always local. 2 weeks. Daily conversations. Voice knows her name. Morning, Margaret. Rough arthritis today. How? Never told him. Council records, maybe. Dismissed. November 3rd. Voice changes tone. Margaret, someone's on the lift with you. Ice in stomach. Mirror shows empty lift. 4 by 8 foot coffin. No shadows. No breath fog. Empty. Nonsense, she snaps. Imagination. Lift acoustics. Voice insistent. Behind you, Margaret. By the buttons. Turns. Nothing. Spins fully. Empty. Voice laughs softly. Only joking. Got you. Next day's darker humour. Took the wife shopping today. Left her on 7th. Found a tenner on 11th. Yours? Personal questions. Grandkids coming Christmas? New man in your life? Information only family knows. November 17th. Voice describes her clothing. New cardie, Margaret. Purple suits you. Never mentioned outfits before. Lift mirror doesn't reflect to external camera. Impossible angle. Next morning, feels breath on neck. Warm. Rancid. Pipe tobacco and decay. Mirror clear. No reflection. Voice whispers, smelled your perfume. Nice. What perfume? Never wears any. Thanksgiving week. Voice hungrier. What you got in that Tesco bag, eh? Never told him shopping. Chicken thighs? Sausages? My favourite. Bag contained exactly that. Lift journey stretches. 90 seconds becomes 5 minutes. Floor lights crawl. 9, 8, 7. Voice fills void. Remember that night, Margaret? 1972? Specific. You and Tommy behind the bingo hall. Private memory. Never shared. Tommy dead 20 years. Lists her medications, dosages, side effects. Prednisone giving you bellyache? Switch to doctor level detail. GP doesn't know this much. December 1st. Hand touches shoulder. Heavy, calloused. Thumb pressure real. Spins. Empty lift. Voice. Just checking you're real, pet. Starts taking stairs. Agony. 14 flights. Knees buckling. Hands bleeding on rail. 1 floor from lift. Hears it. Margaret, where are you going? Voice echoes in stairwell. No intercoms. Tries ground floor door. Locked from outside. Caretaker convention. Emergency only. Back to lift. Voice waiting. Missed me? Thought you might. Voice recites her medical history. Appendix 64. Hip replacement 79. Gallstones 85. Private shame. Adult bedwetting 82. Screams details only she knows. December 12th. Voice predicts future. Doctor's call tomorrow. Test results. Colon. Next day, exactly. Precancerous polyps. Impossible foreknowledge. December 24th. Christmas Eve. Lift stops between 10 to 9. Permanent. Lights flicker red. Emergency bulbs. Voice changes. No longer polite. Been waiting, Margaret. All these years. Not caretaker. Not ghost. Was here before flats built. 1923. Lift shaft my home. Walls my skin. You woke me. Daily, 7:23. Name's Geordie. Fell down shaft, 1923. Meat grinder. Bones in gears. Voice never left. Trapped in concrete. Your routine fed me, gave me eyes. Let me borrow your body. Just Christmas. Family waiting. Turkey. Presents. One day, then you wake up, good as new. Temperature plummets. Frost on mirror. 2 hands now. 1 shoulder. 1 waist. Pulling. Heavy. Smelling of rust and blood. Voice pleading. Just one day, Margaret. Mrs. Hargreaves refuses. Slaps at invisible hands. Alarm button. Dead circuit. Voice turns vicious. Ungrateful cow. Lift lurches. Lights die completely. Total black. Breath surrounds her. Everywhere. Voice inside skull now. Mine now. Christmas morning. Lift doors open. Empty. Tesco bag on floor. Chicken thighs. Batteries. Neighbours find handbag. Keys. Lipstick. No Mrs. Hargreaves. Police investigation. Missing person. Lift mechanics perfect. No faults. CCTV malfunctioned that month. Case closed. Presumed fled debts. January 5th. New resident. Floor 14. Mrs. Patel. Rheumatoid arthritis. 7:23 a.m. Presses call button. Doors screech open. 3rd floor, going down. Our final story takes us to the ultimate isolation. A lighthouse off the coast of Cornwall. Not 1800s, late 1990s, just before automation. Arthur, last of the keepers, used to solitude, loved the rhythm of light, waves, salt, safe in his tower of stone. One night, fierce Atlantic storm. Radio crackled, not transmission, static, white noise. And under the static, a voice, singing. Arthur checked frequency, short-range channel, very short. Signal within a mile. No ships. Radar clear. Sea, boiling cauldron of black. No boat survives. Yet singing continued. Low, mournful nursery rhyme. Girls and boys, come out to play. The moon doth shine, as bright as day. Arthur grabbed binoculars, stepped onto gallery. Rain lashed face like needles. Scanned rocks below. Lighthouse beam swung. Flash, darkness. Flash, darkness. 3rd pass. He saw it. Landing platform. Supply boat dock. Figure standing, perfectly still, in crashing waves. Water smashed over them. Didn't move. Beam hit figure again, looking up at him. Face pale, white as bone, smiling. Arthur ran inside, locked heavy iron door at tower base, threw every bolt. Radioed mainland, screaming into mic. Storm interfered, cut off. Alone. Spent night in lantern room, highest point. Clutching flare gun, Every light swing. Looked down. Figure getting closer. First, dock. Then, base of stairs. Then, at the door. 6 hours. Arthur listened. Wet hands slapping iron door, 300 feet below. Slap. 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 Rhythmic. Insistent. They wanted in. They wanted him. Dawn broke. Storm cleared. Supply boat arrived noon. Found Arthur in lantern room. Exhausted. Terrified. Clutching flare gun like lifeline. No one on island. No footprints. No body. But iron door at base, covered in seaweed. Deep, frantic scratches. Gouges in metal. On the outside. Whatever came from the sea that night didn't want to be saved. It wanted to be let in. The rain is easing off now. The storm is passing. But as you lay in bed tonight, listening to the wind, ask yourself this. If you heard a knock right now, if you heard a latch lift or a footstep in the attic, would you answer it? Would you go and look? Or would you pull the covers up, close your eyes tight, and pray that whatever is outside thinks the house is empty? Thank you for joining me in the sanctuary tonight. If you survived these tales, please leave a like and subscribe to Dark Tales Tonight. It helps the channel and lets me know you're still out there, safe and sound. Turn off your screens. Let the darkness in. Sleep well.